You don't want to have one for sure, but optimally you have three sources where you have like one major and then two minor. And you always make sure you split your spend. This way you keep every one of them. If you start diluting your number of suppliers, you won't have as much of a what I call negotiating power. So for sure, for any particular material or type of cable, you don't want to have more than three. Okay. Optimally, you have two. You never want to have one, otherwise you lose your negotiating power, and also it becomes, safety of supply, security of supply.
Okay. So for our total spend base of $85 million, for the total number of suppliers that we have, should we be targeting like 50, 100, 200? Where would you anticipate our range being?
Yeah, if you're dealing, let's say, with cables and then materials, and then you have miscellaneous stuff, I would say, that's and you're only supplying a component, you're not supplying an assembly. Basically, I would, frankly, maybe 20 suppliers would be what should be your target.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends on how much variety you have in your, like, if you have 20 different materials, and you might have to go through 20 different suppliers. It's the type of how much variation you have in your supplier, in the product you're making.
Okay, yeah, we have quite the level of variety, and we have some, as I mentioned earlier, 16,000 SKUs.
Yeah.
But
if you can have 16,000 SKU, but all of them, let's just say, are using anodized aluminum, or they are using titanium, or they are using like a high-grade steel or stainless. So maybe the shape of the part or what, it doesn't matter, just what's the raw material you've been using for all these components. If you are using lots of different materials and different grades, then you might end up with, and then, but then what I'm saying then, if you look at where you have 80% of the parts made out of certain component, then you would have 2 or 3 major suppliers, and the rest of the materials, there is lots of what I call material supply houses that they would inventory the material for you because they are serving multiple competitors. So you don't have to deal with the source because you don't have enough volume to justify negotiating with the source. And also you don't have to end up carrying or buying too much inventory of that component that you don't consume too much out of it. And the supply house would carry it for you.
Okay. So pivoting a little bit here, I want to talk about automation. So as I've previously mentioned, we have a team of buyers that actually run the purchase orders. And what they primarily do is they go into the system and they see what the demand needs are going to be. They contact suppliers to sometimes get bids. If it's under contract, to just send in like a release inventory order. And they're doing most of that stuff pretty manually. How have you seen automation in the role of a buyer?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This is where you split your buying. So you have what I call the strategic, where you specify the terms of you negotiate the price for a year, you negotiate the quantities, you specify what kind of sizes that you'll be looking at, and then you have the transactional part. And the transactional part can be actually automated. I mean, they have those what they call the computer robots, which basically it's a software that they put in where it just takes all the information from the system, and instead of somebody keying in the PO and sending it, the software generates it for you. So this is becoming, more common.
What software have you seen used and seen work really well? To